If your sucker's wearing a sweater by the end of the summertime, you really need to get that thing maintained at least once a year. And this thing has not been washed before. Hey guys, this is Steven with Yarbrough & Sons. We're out here in Blanchard, Oklahoma today doing an air conditioning tune-up. The benefit of doing an air conditioning tune-up, you make sure that your air conditioner is in tip-top shape for the cooling season. You know, you make sure that that condenser coil is clean, you make sure your filters are changed out and clean and ready to go. Basically just making sure that nothing is going to fail prematurely on your air conditioning system. I'm excited about it. Let's get started. All right guys, I'm out here at the customer's condenser now. It's a 2024 Lennox. I've gone ahead and checked the coils. They're not real dirty. What I'm gonna do is break it down, clean it out, wash it out with some water, make sure that it's nice and clean. That way whenever we're checking our pressures and our amp draws and all of that, everything's reading the way that it's supposed to be, the way that it's meant to be reading. And let's go ahead and pull this disconnect. Line 1 to ground, I've got 0 volts. Line 2 to ground, I got 0 volts. It is safe enough for me to go ahead and start disassembling this thing now. I'd rather not get shocked again. It's happened a few times, and it's bound to happen when you're working in with electricity all the time. And this thing has not been washed before. Being 2024, I wouldn't expect it to have been washed before. Tell it hadn't been washed before because there's still a zip tie sitting right here that's holding all my wires together. It's not something I would recommend the average homeowner do. I would highly recommend that you call a professional out, disassemble this, get her cleaned up the right way. The only right way to clean out a condensing unit is to wash it from the inside out. In order to do that, you have to take the top of the unit off. Otherwise, if you're spraying from the outside in, you're just pushing more stuff into your condenser coil, and it's going to cause it to plug up and fail, overheat, cause more work for the compressor. So we always take the top off and wash it from the inside out. Yarbrough & Sons does offer a maintenance membership where we'll come out twice a year. We'll take a look at the air conditioner, do a maintenance on it, do a full service on it, and then we'll take a look at the heater and do a full service on it. If you're not part of our maintenance membership program, we do offer one-time cleaning checks. Really good way just to get the air conditioner taken care of. Most manufacturers require that have your unit serviced at least once a year to maintain your manufacturer parts warranty. And so, that's a good way to do that. It's also a good way to ensure that your air conditioner stays in top shape throughout the cooling season. All right, so I've got the condenser completely torn down now. You can see all the coils are exposed. So I've got my water hose hooked up, I've got my sprayer hooked up, and I've got this long-handled one because as I get older, my back don't like bending down near as much, and it makes it easier to get into the bottom of the condenser with this sprayer as opposed to just spraying it out with a regular nozzle. Making sure that water's flowing free through there, and if water's flowing free through there, then the air's gonna flow free through there. You can go ahead and just get this sucker cleaned out. A lot of times you'll look at a condenser coil and you think, well, that thing's not too bad. If you ever put water to it, you'll realize it's a lot worse than what you think it is. I like to call those sneaky dirty coils, basically. They look clean from the outside, but once you really start putting water on them and getting them cleaned out the way they need to be cleaned out, it really shows the dirt that's inside those coils. If you don't wash them, that dirt just continues to pack in those coils, then you have a problem with your compressor overheating. Usually look around 2 hours to complete a tune-up. Being thorough about it, take a look at everything, make sure that everything's cleaned up and run them the best that it can. So all this right in here, all along the edge of this sidewalk is cottonwood. Here in central Oklahoma, we've got a ton of cottonwood trees. This unit wasn't too bad, but with all the cottonwood trees that we've got around here, sometimes I'll walk up to a unit and it looks like that sucker's wearing a sweater. If your sucker's wearing a sweater by the end of the summertime, you really need to get that thing maintained at least once a year. May, June, sometime in that area. Allow your unit to breathe better. If you're trying to breathe through a straw, it ain't working too good, and that's what it's like with that unit packed up with cottonwood like they get sometimes. So get her cleaned up, she'll breathe a lot better, run a lot better for you. All right, so we got the unit all cleaned up, get all the sides back on it, get the top back on it, wire everything back in, and then we'll fire this bad boy off. My recommendation for everybody, get your air conditioner tuned up before the hot weather hits for a couple of reasons. One, we'll be able to get to you If we're in the heat of summer, you're calling us out to do a tune-up on your air conditioner, you may have to wait 3 or 4 days. We're taking care of people that have no cooling. Number 2, get it tuned up before it breaks down. We've got this thing all put back together now. We're gonna go ahead and hook our gauges up to it. We'll kick this thing on and let it run for a while we're checking up things in the attic, see how it goes. This unit's got some locking caps on it. The locking caps are really good. Long time that people were coming and stealing refrigerant out of systems. And so code now is to put locking cap. It takes a special tool to get them off, but luckily we've got that tool right here with us today. So we're gonna go ahead and get these bad boys off, get our field piece probes hooked up, turn our probes on here. We're gonna grab our temperature clamps. We'll get them hooked up to our condenser as well and make sure that they're on the right side, because if it ain't, we ain't reading right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and hit it at the thermostat, get the coolant turned on, get up in the attic, put these probes, these air probes in, and we'll check out and see how she's running. One of the best attics I've been in. It's got good decking all the way across. Still got to be careful, but it's got good decking all the way across, and we've got spray foam. So right now down there in the house, it's 72 degrees, and it feels pretty close to the same up here. That makes it real nice, especially on the hot summer day. You're up here and, you know, changing out a blower motor or whatever you got to do up here. You know, those spray foam attics really help you out. As a technician, I absolutely love coming into a foamed attic when I'm thinking it's going to be 160 degrees up there. All right, we're going to go ahead and get our probes turned on. Stuck in the unit here, one in the supply and one in the return. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the amp draw of this blower motor. Make sure she's doing what she needs to be doing here. 6.7 amps on that blower motor. Everything as far as that goes is good. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the disconnect in now. We've got the thermostat calling. We'll see how this thing is running. She's starting off a little bit low right now, but we just got done cleaning her out. And so it's still wet. It's gonna be a little bit low. We need to wait and give it a little opportunity to dry off. While we're waiting, we'll make sure and see what the pressures do and my temperatures. We'll go from there. All right, so we've got everything checked out. You know, the system's looking good. Pressures are where they need to be. Our temperature split's great. We're gonna go ahead and button this bad boy up, and then we'll move on to the furnace tune-up, checking gas pressures, checking the blower wheel, the evaporator coil, all that fun stuff, and we'll go from there. All right, so I got my field piece manometer probe here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hook up to the inlet side of the gas valve, check the incoming pressure. I'm gonna take it off there and I'm gonna hook up to the outlet side of the gas valve, check the outgoing pressure once we fire this thing up, make sure that it's set where it needs to be set at. That way it's burning as efficiently as possible. So we're sitting right at 13 inches of water column on LP, which is what this furnace is, right where we need to be. Perfect, we don't have to adjust any regulators outside to get our gas pressure up or anything along those lines. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this back off, put the plug back in this hole, and then we will move on to our outlet side and we'll fire this thing up. A fancy little new tool here. Get hooked up so we can make our heat run for us. This is just a single stage furnace. So on this jumper tool that I've got here, I only need to do 2 wires on it. So we got power to our board. I'm gonna give power to my heat coil. And there we go. We've got an inducer assembly here. And take an amp draw on that. She's pulling 2.3, 2.4 amps. We're sitting right at 10.5 inches of water column, and again, this is a propane furnace. Propane furnaces are fairly common in our area. In the more rural areas, you know, you'll see more of them because O&G just hasn't got the gas lines out there yet. And so, you know, until they do, we're going to run propane in some of these areas. Looking at the nameplate here, you know, as we look, it gives you a ton of information. So, you know, on your gas supply pressure, you know, I said it was right at 13. It calls for 13 on propane. So, and then when we're looking at our manifold pressure, you know, we're right at 10.5, and this is saying, you know, we need 10 inches of water column for our manifold pressure. We're right there where we need to be. You know, if the water heater kicks on, they turn on a stove or anything along those lines, you know, it's going to be taking some of that gas pressure away. And so, you know, being right there at 10.5, we're not going to have an issue at all with this furnace. You know, everything's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. We're right at 10.6 on our manifold pressure there, so you know, once that water heater or oven or something along those lines kick on, we'll be doing good. We're going to let this set and run for just a few minutes while it's burning that off, and we'll catch up with you at that point. And that's how you close an attic access. Everything's looking great. I didn't see any issues with the pressures. Got the condenser cleaned out. Made sure the gas pressure was right where it needed to be. Made sure the blower wheel and the evaporator were nice and clean. Made sure the drain was clear. Everything's rocking and rolling here. Set the thermostat back where it was set originally. So when we come out here and do a tune-up, you know, one of the most valuable things that you get peace of mind. You get to ensure that, you know, your system is operating correctly, and you get a sense of safety. You know, we want you to be safe in your own home. We want you to be comfortable in your own home. When we come out here and check to make sure that, you know, there's no cracks in the heat exchanger, you're not getting any carbon monoxide in your home, you know, nothing on your outdoor unit's going to fail on you, you know, that makes you safe, that makes you comfortable, and that's valuable to me.